So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. Welcome. Uh, Please change the chat settings to all attendees and panelists because by default it's only for the panelist. When you send a message, that only goes to the panelist. So you can change that from the chat. Um, so let's talk about this. So we are Women Who Code Python, and our mission is to inspire women to excel in their technology careers. Our vision is a world where women are representative as technical executives, founders, VCs, board members, and software engineers. Our target are the engineers with 2 or more years of experience looking for support and resources to strengthen their influence and level up in their careers. We have a code of conduct. We are an inclusive community and we do not tolerate any sort of harassment or discrimination. There is the full report at this link that you can go and read. So please check that out. We are a strong community and we are continuously growing. We already have 230,000 members and we have 17 networks in 20 countries and member in 97 plus countries. We have done 10K plus events so far, and there are conference tickets and scholarships that are also available for our members. We also provide access to jobs and resources through the platform, and there are infinite connections that you can make from here. Our movement is as the world changes, we can be a connecting force that creates a sense of belonging while the world is being asked to isolate. So today we have the Ask Me Anything session number 4 with Patricia. Patricia is a senior data scientist and my mentor, and I'm so excited to host her today. So let's hear more from her.
Thank
Hi.
you. Thank you so much, Yashika. I want to first thank you personally and the Women Who Code for the opportunity to speak with others who may be interested in data science. I'm happy to share my expertise, of which I've spent 40 or so years within the profession.
Thank you so much for joining in. Could you please share your experience and journey so far?
Yeah, so my PhD degree is actually in an area called environmental physics, but I had a minor in statistics. And so with my minor in statistics and my mathematical background in environmental physics, I was able to transcend industries. And I first started working in the chemical industry for Dow Chemical and DuPont, where I built computer models that would predict whether or not new pesticides would become surface or groundwater problems or not. From there, I've actually had a very interesting professional career in that I've worked for a lot of different agencies and companies. I actually had my own consulting company for a while where I was consulting with the satellite industry on how to use infrared data to predict crop disease before you could see it with the naked eye. I spent 7 years at a software company called SAP. It's a German-owned company, and there I did marketing data science. And from there, I became the director of data science at Comcast, a very large cable TV company worldwide.
Wow, that's so amazing. And I'm really influenced by your diverse experience because you have worked in so many fields and on so many projects, and that's really inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of data science, and also the minor in statistics, that it does allow you to work in a number of different industries and work on some very interesting projects.
For sure. Uh, so you have a lot of experience and you have done years of work in the same field. So data science could be intimidating because I know that when I was starting, it was really overwhelming for me, and people still find it overwhelming because there is new research coming every day. So what is that one thing that kept you going throughout your journey?
I think it was creativity and the ability to use my creativity with mathematics and data science to solve business problems. I really am a problem solver, and that's what I love to do. So data science is a natural platform with which to solve business problems.
For sure, that's a brilliant answer. Uh, so you mentioned that you have done PhD. Uh, what are your views on getting an advanced degree? Because I have seen that some people go for advanced degrees like masters and PhD in the same field. So what are your views on that? Should we go for that or not? Or how important is that in terms of getting knowledge, in terms of getting job or anything else?
Mhm. I think for a data scientist that you need to at least have a master's degree in order to be seen as a credible data scientist. Whether or not you go on for a PhD degree or not, I think is, up to the individual person. But I would say that a master's is the least you should get in terms of advanced degrees. And I would also say that when you're looking at doing your curriculum, that you want to perhaps take not only like machine learning courses, but I think that it's important to have a solid base in probability theory, perhaps from the statistics department, and also a course in maybe time series analysis and regression analysis, because those are sort of fundamental um, uh, techniques that can be used in a variety of different ways.
Absolutely. So before going for a higher degree, let's say someone doesn't have a bachelor's in technology or they don't have a computer science background before joining the master's degree. So is there anything that they should prepare before going to the master's? Are there any courses or anything that they should take before enrolling in the full-time master's degree?
So I would say that depending upon the master's program, you definitely want to know how to code in SQL. And I think that having a background in Python, it can also be an important avenue for you to get to the data science and machine learning platforms and software within Python.
Of
So
course.
other than that, though, I think that, again, if you were able to get, a statistics course or two, that you would be in really good shape to enter into a Master of Science program in data science.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because I feel that statistics is really important because most of the algorithms are based on statistics. So if you don't understand what's going on in statistics, it's really hard to understand what's going on in the algorithms.
Right. I mean, if you look at the CHAID, or the basically CHAID is a chi-square splitter, and you're probably not going to understand what that is unless you've had, at least a couple of statistics courses.
Uh, are there any online resources for statistics that you would recommend people to check out?
Oh, that's a good one. I think that Coursera has some good online learning programs for statistics. So I would definitely, check Coursera out. I believe Udacity also has statistics courses that would be helpful to, a promising data scientist.
Okay, thanks. And we have one question in the Q&A box. I'll read that out for you. If a person already has a master's degree in something not related to data science, maths, or statistics or computer science, is it still important to get another master's degree in data science?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you need another master's degree. I think what you need is now experience using, learning the machine learning algorithms and being able to apply them to business problems. And one of the ways that you can do that is to go out to the internet and grab, a data set and then play with it. Use random forests, use neural networks, and try and, create the best model possible for predicting the future as you can. And in the process of doing that, you're going to be getting, a lot of experience with all of the different algorithms related to like regression and machine learning.
We have another question. Do you recommend any university or country to do a postgraduate degree in statistics or data science?
So I think there are a lot of good programs out there. I wouldn't necessarily want to, tell you that one is better than the other. I think that it's a matter of what you can afford to do. If you're in India, for instance, you may not be able to afford to come to the United States. But I think that there are just as good, universities in other countries as there are in the US. So I would definitely do research on the internet. And actually, if you can find people who have, done advanced degrees in particular universities, give them a call, contact them through LinkedIn or, other social media platform methods, and find out what their experience was like and see if they, their actual program helped them in terms of preparing them for the job market.
And for the master's degree, I've seen that most of the universities also have their online course available, so people can also take that. I don't have any idea about the PhD programs, but master's programs are still available online for a lot of universities.
Yes. And in fact, for some people, online is a great way to learn. For other people, they need an in-person kind of arrangement to be most effective in terms of their learning. So try and understand your mode of learning. For me, it's hands-on. I have that's the best way for me to learn. So that's what I try and do.
Talking about hands-on, we have a question based on that. So someone is asking about the resources from where they can study the practical implementation of ML algorithms.
So practical application, that's really a good one. I mean, I would take a look at GitHub and see what kinds of things are available there. There's another platform that starts with a K, and I'm blanking on the name of it now.
Kaggle.
Yes, yes. And use that to, get some experience with the kinds of business questions that are being asked. And I think that, creativity here is so important, to find ways to build your creativity. For instance, I had a business problem once where we were trying, SAP puts on a large conference every year in Florida, to which they have like 10,000 attendees. And we were trying to figure out, which sort of, courses or what did they attend specifically at the conference that sort of changed their mind and made them want to purchase SAP products. So I created something called the behavioral fingerprint. And that was a series of zeros and ones, a string of zeros and ones. So I lined up all of the items that you could have attended at the particular conference. And if you attended it, I put a 0 or a 1. And if you did not attend, I put a 0. And then what we did was cluster that, and we were able to come up with 4 groups of attendees and related that behavior specifically to the amount of money that was being made by SAP based on their behavior. So creativity is really an important part of this. No one is going to give you the specific business problem to address. So you can come up with your own business problem ideas and then go from there.
Wow, that's really interesting problem. I haven't heard about behavioral fingerprints before, and this is really interesting for me as well. I can see some more questions. Someone is saying, in your experience, what is the receptiveness in the industry regarding people who have done boot camps in data science? Is there any advice you have for boot camp graduates who want to enter the data science? Thank you.
So if you're just doing a boot camp in data science, I think that that's valuable experience. It will get you maybe an entry-level data science position. Again, I think you really need the advanced degree in data science or statistics or mathematics to be considered, at more of a mid-level data science position.
Okay, there's another question. For your first job out of your PhD program, how were you able to describe your academic research in a way that appealed to people in business?
So that's a great question. Because I got my degree in environmental sciences and Dow Chemical was looking for someone to help predict whether or not their pesticides would become groundwater or surface water problems or not. My experience and my PhD research was sort of directly related to what they were looking for. If it's not directly related to what they're looking for, then you need to find ways to capture that experience in ways that make sense to a business. For instance, you may have a degree in in physics and want to work in marketing. Well, the application of mathematics, is the same everywhere across industries and across disciplines. So, your ability to problem solve is great in physics, and that translates to a great ability to solve business problems. So it's not necessarily the content of the discipline that you learned, but it's other skills that you have learned along the way that would apply to business.
I have a question based on that. So you're talking about applications of data science to business industry, but most of the courses or programs that we take are mostly focusing on the data science algorithm or like things related to data science, but not specifically business. So how do you connect both of them together? Like if you don't have any experience working with any company or something, then how do you get experience with data science and business together?
I think one of the ways is to find a mentor, like you have done, Yashika, in terms of asking them what kinds of problems do exist in business and how can I go about getting some experience with those. I have a lot of experience with predicting whether or not someone is going to become a customer of the company or not, whether or not they may not pay their bill, whether or not they will become the next customer and buy a second product or not. But there's also one of the interesting projects that I worked on was whether or not, or predicting when a computer network was going to go down or not. And so it's not only in marketing that you can have an impact with data science, it's also in the areas of technology and other disciplines as well. But I think getting a mentor is a great thing to do. I am definitely happy to help mentor people if, they find that my experience would be helpful for them.
Of course, I would definitely agree on that. And I am so glad that I reached out to you because there's a lot of things that I can learn from you, and also people can learn from you as well. So it's always great to have a mentor.
Yeah, thank you.
So another question is, do you have tips to share on how you make sure to keep up to date with the amazing influx of new tools?
That's really a hard one. I think that if you want to know what's going to be coming out in 5 years or 10 years, then you should keep an eye on research and computer science research for algorithms that, you know, are now being developed at the universities that will eventually be put into practice in business. I think that the other thing to do is to make sure that you're spending time, you know, looking at the internet and what's happening out there. I used to spend at least 2 hours every week. I would carve out time to do internet research so that I could keep up on what was happening in the real world.
Yeah, definitely, because new research papers are coming each week, every day, and it's hard to keep up with them. So first of all, it's really important to know what area are you going to focus on, because then you can narrow down the research papers according to that. And then, as you said, keeping up at set time to read those and keeping up yourself update with that is really important.
Yes, I think also that when it comes to, you know, random forests or neural networks or other machine learning algorithms, you know, one thing to pay attention to is how to actually tune the parameters that you have to set within those programs. You know, that's where the art of the data science comes in. And that art is learned through only through practice.
Yeah, data science field requires a lot of patience. Even when you're learning or working, in both terms, you require patience a lot throughout your journey.
Exactly.
Second question is, would you recommend developing deep expertise in a particular class of algorithms, domain, or developing a broad toolkit?
So this is a great question. It's exploring breadth versus depth of experience, and I would say that it's important to get a breadth of experience with depth of experience in at least one machine learning algorithm, because you can't always, you know, for instance, you can't always get good results with neural nets. You may need to use a different machine learning algorithm. And so you need, you know, you need to have a good hands-on knowledge of the breadth of machine learning algorithms that are out there. But to really show your technical abilities, I think you need to, you know, go deep into at least one algorithm.
Uh, I have a similar question related to that. So how do you feel a particular area that you want to work in? So data science is so diverse and literally it can be applied to any industry. So how should someone approach by finding a particular industry or field that they are interested in working or like exploring more related to data science?
Mhm. So one of the ways to do that would be to actually look at the online job openings and find out what industries are hiring data scientists, and then, you know, figure out if you have a particular interest or not. Like I knew in high school that environmental science was an interest of mine. So I went into environmental sciences when I was in college. Now, one of the things that you can do is pay attention to the types of articles that you read. So whether it's the newspaper or magazines, are you, for instance, um, you know, do you like to read articles that are in the telecommunications industry? Do you like to read articles that are in the oil industry? you know, that is going to help you decide what you have an interest in. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to decide what industry is most interesting to someone.
And try them
Uh,
out, you know,
Mhm.
try
Yeah,
them out. And if you don't like one industry, because data science is so ubiquitous out there, you're able to, you know, change jobs quite readily.
so next question is, what is the best way to practice data science if we are not working yet?
So I think the best way to do that is to grab a data set from the internet and then play around with, if you're, you know, learning Python, you can use the machine learning algorithms in Python to try and, you know, predict the weather, for instance, and use neural networks, use random forests, use time series, use, you know, whatever algorithms are available, you know, in the software program, and see how well you can do to predict. And that will give you some experience in using these algorithms and also in tuning the input parameters.
This is a really interesting question. So someone is asking, at different points of your career, how did you fractionate your time to work deeply on data science problems versus participate in business meetings, communications, etc.? For example, when you were the director of data science at Comcast, did you have much time to work on problems individually?
I personally did not have a lot of time to work on problems individually. I had a team of 6 data scientists, and they were the ones doing all of the coding. I was basically overseeing their work and making sure that I agreed with their approaches. And then we would also review the results of the machine learning and data science algorithms to see if we could tweak them, you know, in a way that would help them build better models. So I think at some point in your career, you have to decide, do you want to stay technical with your hands on the computer keys, or do you want to, you know, become a supervisor of other data scientists? And one of the roles of the director of data science for me was to reach out to marketing and to other business disciplines and help them understand how we could help them with their business problems, and try and position data science, which, you know, to people who are not scientists, data science is scary. They don't know what it is. They know it involves a lot of mathematics. And so you have to be able to explain algorithms in a way that even a kindergartner can understand, so that the everyday person can understand what you're doing. And I think developing that ability to communicate with others at a sort of in the English language rather than the mathematical language is a very important skill to develop.
Absolutely. On similar terms, how important are soft skills for a data scientist, and how should one practice about getting more expertise in that?
hmm I think soft skills are incredibly important. You know, as I look at the people that were hired and climbed the ranks of the professional ladder, they were the ones that could get things done. They were the ones that could communicate well with others. They were the ones that developed a broad network of colleagues at the business location where they worked, and even outside of that, if there were multiple locations, you know, nationwide or worldwide. So developing those skills is incredibly important. One of the ways that you can, in terms of communication and public speaking, is to do Toastmasters. They're a great organization to help you get over the fear of speaking in public. And as you do, go up the ladder in your professional career, you will have to give presentations. I mean, I've given presentations to 200 people, to 1,000 people, and then even to, 3 people sitting around the conference table. So the ability to, do or to be able to public speak in a variety of different settings is really important.
Absolutely. So next question is, what was your most challenging business problem and how did you address it?
So I think the most challenging business problem was the one where I used the behavioral fingerprints for understanding, what behavior actually translated into, actual dollars for the company. The other one that was really challenging was the one where we were trying to predict when the network would go down. That challenge really was related to the type of data that was being collected, as in not enough data was being collected, on their server systems. So, our models were okay, but they weren't, exceptional. And that brings up another topic that, I'd like to discuss. I think that I don't know if you've heard the term feature engineering or not, but feature engineering is basically developing data from the data that you have. So for instance, you might have information about on the date of which a product was purchased, but from that date, you can determine time to purchase, month to purchase, things like that. So you're making data from data. And I think I gave some examples in an article that I have listed on LinkedIn that gives some more information and examples on how to do that. So here again, it's creativity that's important. So you're not just stuck with the data that you have, you can create new and fresh data from the data sets that you're given.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really believe that uh, not having enough data is not the excuse to work on a data science problem, because there would be a lot of cases when you have to prepare your own data or use the existing data that you have to reach to the conclusion. So that's a
Mhm.
brilliant point.
The other thing too that I'd like to say is that, you really need to get a very good foundation in manipulating data. I would call this the data ninja, becoming the data ninja. Whether you're using SQL or Python, it doesn't really matter as long as you know how to, join on specific data sets and know how to manipulate them in a lot of different ways to come up with those new features that you can use in your machine algorithms.
For sure. The next question is, in a similar vein, I read discussions about data scientists needing to develop a deeper understanding of business industry motivation. For someone who comes from academia, how do you develop that understanding?
So I think that again, you need to reach out to some mentors who have that business experience, or you need to, find a position that will help you gain that business experience, and someone willing to kind of take a chance on you, because it's only through experience that you are going to understand more about, the business. I know when I was working for both SAP and Comcast, I would always try and keep up on what was happening on the business side of things. because that gave me the language and the tools with which to communicate better to business folks.
The next question is, if a person recently completed their PhD in a field of computational biology, what would you recommend as the best course of action before they apply for their first job in data science, that is, in the next 1 to 3 months? Should they focus on building up a portfolio of non-academic work or focusing on deepening their knowledge of statistical and computer science tools they used during their academic work?
If it were me, actually, what I would do is I know that roughly 70% of all positions are not posted. So if it were me, what I would do would be to use those 3 months to begin writing to directors of research, directors of marketing, directors of business operations, and exploring what positions might be available to them in the data science arena.
Uh, so someone is asking what types of questions are asked in an interview for a data scientist position. I think it really depends on the position, but we can reframe this as what are the most important questions that comes up in a data science interview.
Mhm. I think that they're going to ask you, what has been your major success in terms of a project in data science? What has been a primary failure for you, and how did you overcome the failure? I think that in data science interviews, they're also going to ask you to do some coding. So they'll give you a problem and you'll have to do sort of on the fly coding for them so that you can demonstrate that you have the, technological skills necessary for the position. I think that, what's important is to be able to, again, communicate very clearly. They may ask you, how does a random forest work? Or, something like that. So they better understand how you can take technology and mathematical ideas and put them into plain English for everyone to understand. So I would definitely have something like that in my back pocket.
Now, so I know that it mostly depends on what problem you are solving, and it's not only about the tools. But if I ask about what are your favorite tools and the tools that you have mostly used throughout your experience, what would you say?
So because my experience is a little bit older, I think that, I did not have the same sets of tools that you have today. I think that Python definitely with its tools in machine learning are really good. I think that, if you can get some experience with Azure, Microsoft's machine learning algorithms, that would be good. And the name is eluding me now, but it begins with a TH. I'll have to look that one up for you and then get back to you on that. But there are a number of new sort of programs that are helping data scientists do things more quickly. One of the ones that I used was SAP's predictive analytics. I also used, did a lot of coding with SQL to do feature engineering. And basically, the dealing with the data is like 70%, 80% of what you'll do on a day-to-day basis. Actually running the machine learning algorithms is, 20 to 30% overall of what you'll be doing. So I don't know if I have a really good answer for that. I think you all would have a better answer for that amongst yourselves being so young in the industry.
Like talking about the tools, I would definitely say that Python is also my favorite because of the community support and the resources that are already available. So I don't plan to switch on programming languages for now.
Yeah. Yeah, although I do have to say that once you know one programming language, it's much easier to learn another. But I don't know why you would, move off of Python, because you've got the ability for PySpark and, some other things that will help you with big data.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Uh, so is there any difference that you see in the data science field now versus when you started out? So I know that there are a lot of advancement regarding tools and frameworks, but are there any significant differences that you see from then till now?
So I think the major difference was, back in the 1980s when, I was learning about these things, neural nets was something that, was just sort of coming online. And in now, we have this whole area of deep learning. And I think that, deep learning is going to show a lot of progress in terms of moving business problems forward. I think that uh, natural language algorithms are also something that are fairly new, and have a lot of potential, because people are now starting to capture, more natural language within, for instance, business call centers. And so to be able to do something with that information, also in terms of sentiment analysis for marketing, you do need some natural language processing there.
Yeah, and natural language processing is my area of interest.
Ah, there's a woman that I know. Her name is Marina Johnson. She's a professor at a university in New Jersey, and I can connect you with her. She may be another good person to have, as a panelist.
Of course, thank you so much for that. I would love to have her. Uh, so there is a little like really short difference between data analyst and data scientist, but how do you differentiate both of them?
So I would say that a data analyst is really one that, does maybe some regression analysis, maybe does a Z test or a T test or something like that, but they don't really delve into the kinds of machine learning algorithms that we would delve into as a data scientist. So they're more of a, top level kind of analyst that deals with data, and they deal with tables and pivot tables and things like that. Whereas a data scientist really uses, data science algorithms to solve problems.
That's a really good answer. Uh, Another question we have from Neely is, of your different career experiences, what was your favorite? Did you enjoy it the most because of the question you were working on, your team, or something else? If you could design a perfect data science job for yourself, what would it be?
I think that, both at SAP and at Comcast, those were my two favorite places. And I have to say that the reason was because I was working on interesting problems, but it was also because of the people. You know, I would rather have a job where I enjoyed the people that I work with and had maybe not so exciting projects to work on than a job where it was a negative environment and, I was working on exciting problems. So to me, because I'm a people person, it was really about the people that I was working with. And I really enjoyed Comcast because I was in charge of 6 data scientists, and I could help mentor them and watch their career grow. That was very satisfying for me. So I would have to say, of everything, Comcast, my last very position before I retired, was my absolute favorite.
And then another part of the question was how, like, what would be the perfect description that you would prepare for a data science role?
I would definitely want someone who had SQL knowledge. I would definitely want someone who had some experience with machine learning algorithms. And again, I would want to see some breadth and depth in at least one area. I would want to see that they had a background in mathematics, statistics, or computer science. Although I have also had bosses that have had PhD degrees in economics, and because that's very mathematically related, that would be appropriate as well. What I'm looking for in a resume is also creativity. So, the more you can, show that creative nature and a progression of jobs with increasing levels of responsibility, but not changing jobs too much, right? You can jump from job to job to job every year, and that tells the reviewer something is not quite right. So you want to stick with, a particular job for at least a couple of years before jumping ship to something else that you might want to do. But jumping ship is okay. I mean, in this day and age, one of the ways in which you climb the corporate ladder is by going outside of the company that you're working with to get a higher level position, and then sometimes coming back into the same company at a higher level.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, I'm waiting for more questions. Till now, I have this question. You have been awarded the machine learn. You have been awarded for like the machine learning automation. So, how do you define MLA or machine learning automation?
So machine learning automation basically is the process of taking the data, and the algorithms, and putting them into a system that can capture the data automatically, manipulate the data automatically, then put them through a machine learning algorithm automatically, and then check to see and verify that your models are still working properly. So that's the whole process. And that last point is very important, because it can save an awful lot of time in terms of manually verifying whether or not your model is still working or not. And I think that that is the wave of the future, that more and more things will be put into machine learning automation. And so, knowledge of being able to do that is quite important.
So, do you think automation is a threat to data science roles or jobs?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, there is something called a citizen data scientist, which, basically people who can run software programs that run machine learning algorithms. And there will be, a need for them, but there will be a need for people who have a more in-depth understanding of the algorithms themselves. In clustering, for instance, there's a number of of different distance measures that you can use. So understanding when to use different distance measures, will become important. So I see the role of the citizen data scientist as being similar to a physician's assistant here in the US, where they can work on maybe, resetting a broken bone, giving you some prescription for the flu, but they're not going to be able to, operate on you. That's going to be something that, the MD doctor does for you. So I see there can be two levels of data scientists in the future. One is the I don't know what to call it, the hardcore data scientists, and the citizen data scientists who can help with day-to-day problems that have sort of already been solved.
That reminds me of an article that I read this weekend, last weekend. So it was about human level performance, and it mentioned that the time when algorithms would beat human level performance is still far from us, and it's not yet fully prepared for now. So we have to wait for that day.
Right, right. I mean, you guys are in a very exciting place in terms of data science because there's lots of tools being developed. It's going to make it easier for you to run some of these very complex machine learning algorithms. So you're going to have, things available to you that I didn't have available to me during the course of my career. And I think that's exciting times for you.
I really appreciate that you worked and built a lot of great stuff while you didn't have great tools, and that's really commendable.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Another question is, did you ever have tough moments in your career where you felt you were treated differently from your male colleagues? How did you overcome those challenges in those workplaces? So this is about diversity.
Yeah, I can say that, the diversity issue started when I was in college because my degree, I was only the third woman in the program to get a PhD degree. So in my courses, there were generally, I was the only woman, or there might have been one or two other women in a class of 30. So back then, what I had to do was say, you know what, I'm just as smart as these other people are. And I'm going to, sit in the front row and I'm going to get as much out of this experience as possible. In the corporate world, I can say that I've never felt discriminated against, as, in terms of being a woman. I've always been in very respectful environments. So I am very thankful for that. I know that there are environments out there that are not respectful of diversity. There is a good book called The Wisp. Let's see. It was written by a woman who was at Uber, and she wrote a book about sexual harassment at Uber. And it was very good. It's the Something Whisperer. I can't recall the name right now, but and it was, if I don't think I could have benefited from being in situations like that. I think that corporate culture is very difficult to change if you're an individual, because corporate culture starts with the leadership at the top and trickles down to the day-to-day, people that are in the trenches. So if you're in a situation that, is not respectful of diversity, I would, if it were me, I would be looking for something else. I know that may sound like a cop out, but I've not seen, single individuals change the corporate culture in large organizations. I think that's something else to think about too. Like there will be in your generation a lot of startups that will need data scientists, and there are large companies that need data scientists. So one of the things that you'll have to decide is whether or not you want to work for a small company where you basically have to do everything, or whether or not you want to work in a large company where there's a lot more bureaucracy. So, think about that in terms of, what makes you happy. and try and, select the one that would, that fits you and your personality the best.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. And I would also say that in terms of difficulty, at times of difficulty, you can also reach out to communities that are specific to women or diversity so that you can find support there. And that would be really helpful in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have any questions? If you have any questions that you would like to get answered, you can put that in the chat or in the Q&A box. Meanwhile, if people want to reach out to you, where they can find you?
Yes, so you can find me on LinkedIn, or I'll give you my email address is patti.tillotson@gmail.com. Reach out to me either way, and I'll be happy to get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm also putting the links to your LinkedIn and my LinkedIn in the chat box. So if people would like to connect, they can do that from there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Someone wants you to repeat your email ID.
Yes, it's PATTILLOTSON@gmail.com. You can also message me through LinkedIn.
Do we have any other questions for Patricia? I don't think so. That's it. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experience. And I really loved your insights and answers. And that was really helpful for me. And I hope that people really enjoyed that. So thank you so much for taking out time for doing this.
Thank you so much. And I hope that you all will reach out to me if you've got any further questions in the future, or if I can help you in any way with your career.
Thank you. And thank you so much to all the attendees who joined us today. Have a great day, night, or evening, depending on wherever you live. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yashika.
Thank you. Bye-bye.